everybody, I hope you're well. Welcome back to another video. I have my cup of tea. I advise you do the same, as this video is going to be a little bit long, and apologies for that. I tend to ramble, so yeah, disclaimer. But I just wanted to say thank you to those who are subscribed and who are liking my videos and commenting, and also hello to the new subscribers. Yeah, that's it really. So this video will be talking about weight gain, weight loss, insecurities, all that shebang. So yeah, in case that is deemed sensitive in your eyes, then I suggest probably not watching it. So I just want to say as well that I am not like finished with this whole experience. Like, I'm still trying to lose a bit of weight, I'm still trying to tone up a bit, but the purpose of this video is me just kind of sharing my emotions, just in case anyone else has like experienced the same, because I don't know where it stems from, like insecurities and that. So I don't know, it's just in case it relates to anyone really. And I haven't really like dived into the last 4 years really. Like when I was at my heaviest, I wasn't really myself, and then as I was losing the weight, changing up my style again, then I felt more myself. So I suppose in a way it's a finding yourself again sort of story, but yeah, if you're interested then carry on watching. So I will start with 2016, which is 4 years ago, and more specifically it's the kind of first half of that year. So I was going through a breakup, I was living on my own in my own little flat and working a lot. So yeah, when I weren't working I was going out, you know, getting drunk. I was 19, so it's like the normal thing to do really at that age, going out, getting drunk 4 times a week, I think. Yeah, it was a bit of a repetitive lifestyle, but because I was working and like I was on alright money, so I could fund that lifestyle. I would love going out, like dancing and not so much drinking. I didn't go out to like meet anyone, it was literally just to dance. Love music, so it was just something I liked doing. But it was always a struggle because I was really insecure with how I looked, and I don't know why, like it still baffles me, but I was a size 8, I'd say. I fit into some size 6s, had quite big boobs, so a lot of the time like anything upper half had to be like a size 10, but that was about it really. Nothing particularly wrong with me. I was fairly active as a teenager, so I had toned legs. I have this thing though, which I don't think I'm ever gonna like grow out of it, but I don't really have a well pronounced jaw. It's very delicate, to put it nicely. So yeah, I get a double chin a lot. There's nothing I can do about it really, unless I get like filler. But I still had like a double chin at that point. I don't think I'll ever not. Quite like bony in my clavicle area. Like I was just on the, well, I don't know, because I'm 5'6", so I feel like that is probably deemed as like a healthy weight, but probably like on the lower scale of that. But long story short, I was fine. Nothing wrong with me. But at that time, because I was going through a breakup and going out a lot, all my emotions were everywhere. I think I was on the pill as well, which most people know does mess you up a little bit. So I want to say every single time I went out, I would change my outfits about 3 or 4 times, which was the norm for me. I thought I looked fat. I would look in the mirror was my worst enemy. I would always be self-critical. I looked fine in most of the stuff I was wearing. I wanted to be experimental with a lot of stuff, but if I weren't in the right kind of mind frame, I thought I looked like an idiot, so I wouldn't wear it. But yeah, so I'd have multiple breakdowns in front of the mirror, which was fun. I just was never satisfied with how I looked, and I think that comes from being in school. I never really felt like I was attractive, so because I'd just been in a relationship and I was going out getting male attention, I wanted to keep up this kind of appearance of being attractive. And I thought that if I was to put on any weight, if I was to have a belly or anything like that, I would be deemed unattractive. So there was that constant worrying that if I don't look a certain way, no one's gonna want me. So yeah, it's a bit fucked up really, but yeah. So that's how I was at that time. And then a lot happened. I moved out of my flat and went back home to live with my parents. And I was just like, it was like a steady sort of thing. I started falling out with a lot of friends. I think that was because of the emotions, like, I don't know, God knows what that is. But at that time, I want to say it's like late summer, I was very like miserable with how I looked and just everything in general. But then I met Lee. It was nice to feel wanted, so I wanted to keep up this sort of like, you know, like being sexy and things like that, just that sort of stuff. And it was fine for the first couple of months, but me and Lee are very big foodies, so a lot of the time we went out to restaurants and got food, or we got takeaway, or we made our own meals. We'd make massive pots of like lasagna and macaroni and cheese, monster portion sizes. And obviously metabolism, no matter how fast it is, unless you're like 7 foot and, you know, like a plank of wood, then you're not going to put any weight on. But me being relatively average, I was piling on the pounds. So with the first half of the year just eating out, I want to say I put on about a stone, which was a bit mental really now that I think about it. I'm putting some pictures, as you've obviously already noticed. I'm putting sizes of the clothing. If I can remember, I'll put how much I weighed at that point, but it was a steady climb. So when I initially put on the first stone, I obviously noticed things weren't fitting me anymore. Jeans that I had, skirts that I had, just wouldn't do up. And I mean, I am a bit of a shopaholic. I'm surprised that like during this lockdown I haven't been buying stuff online because I really do love clothes shopping. So at that time I was near enough buying things I had or versions of in bigger sizes because, you know, that's just what you have to do. So I remember buying jeans that I once bought size 8s and 10s. I was buying in size 14s and 16s. So yeah, and a lot of the time I didn't feel comfortable in wearing things that were restrictive because I seem to have expanded everywhere, but mainly my belly. And that's the main thing that's like, at the minute I've still got a little belly, but I'm not too bothered really about it. But at the time I was like, my belly is huge. So I was wearing baggier clothes, as you do. And I was comfortable, like my mind frame at the time, I was comfortable. I was content. Like there was nothing wrong with how I looked. There's ways you can look nice when you're a little bit chunkier. So I was just like, nah, not bothered whatsoever. However, family members noticed that I was putting on weight because I wasn't living at home at the time. Me and Lee moved away. Whenever we saw family, like it would always get mentioned that, oh, you're looking a little bit chunky. So yeah, but these clothes gradually turned into comfy and then like granny clothes. Now I still love the granny clothes, like I still love the granny looks. They were comfortable, like I've got my long skirts, they've got like elastic waistbands, like they are really comfy. And being like slightly larger on top, there are certain things you can wear and certain things that are a bit difficult. So I adopted the whole wrap top lifestyle because that was like the best thing that fit me really. And I didn't really like having my boobs out, so that was kind of enough, little bit of cleavage. And I like the look. I, think it's nice. Bit, I don't know, like 50s style. So, it's cool. But wearing comfier clothes also made me not as mindful with how I looked. Unless I was looking at myself in the mirror, like, naked. I wouldn't really notice. And I kept expanding. So I was wearing size 12s and then it turned into size 16s. And at that time, when was this? Back into 2017, I'd say. We booked a holiday, mine and Lee's first holiday, that was in the 2018 summer. So I was like, oh shit, okay, I better lose some weight because I'm not gonna look nice in a bikini, which obviously you can look amazing in a bikini if you've got rolls. Just at that time, my mind frame was a bit bleh. But I then got a little bit obsessive with losing weight, not so much as actively losing the weight, but constantly examining myself. So I set a timer, not a timer, a reminder to measure my waist every day. For some reason I thought that would help, but it didn't. I weighed myself every day. Lee being big into the gym was very helpful with a lot of the behaviours I had probably. And he would say like, don't keep weighing yourself. Like certain diets and that aren't going to be helping. Like just stick to one day a week and just keep monitoring it like that if you're going to do anything. I tried doing exercises. I was taking pictures like on apps. I think it was MyFitnessPal. I was doing that every week, trying to track, taking pictures, thinking, oh yeah, I'm noticing something. Little did I know I had IBS. So obviously the days where I looked a bit more chunky, I had a flare up because I was eating bread too much. So, you can't win. But at the time I was just like, okay, like what have I done wrong? Like, trying to eat healthily. But no matter what I was eating, it was always going to fail because being a foodie, portion sizes are just always big, no matter what you're eating. So I wasn't actually losing any weight. So yeah, shock. Fast forward to the holiday, that was in June, and I'll put some snaps of my holiday attire. A lot of the things I was buying were size 12s and 14s, and I think because I bought them all offline, like I should have really got size 16s, I think. But at the time I was kind of in denial and I was like, yeah, that'll be fine if it's stretchy. I was looking at the materials online being like, okay, yeah, that's stretchy, like that'll be fine. Looking at reviews, like, yeah, okay, that'll be fine. I'll get a smaller size, it's cool. And there was a lot of food on this holiday. So, I feel like holidays do the same thing. They have their themed nights, like when you're all inclusive. They have their themed nights, and then when they're a bit rubbish, they have the generic like chips, chicken wings, And a lot of the time, this hotel that we went to, because we went there for 2 weeks, when we first got the theme night, it was fine, like we had that meal. But then, because we'd had it and it repeats every week, we were just like, let's just get some chips. So yeah, I was putting on weight on that holiday. There was some pictures of me that I looked pregnant, like, because I'm like my mum, and I always take pictures of things, no matter what. And I've got photo albums that I've been filling since me and Leah got together. So I've always liked recording my life, and I'm a smiler. So a lot of the photos I was taking with my big cheesy grin, I was noticing like my face is just chunky and unflattering. Like every angle I was taking was unflattering. And I can do this thing now, I'm at the point, I can kind of suck my chin in a little bit, like, So yeah, but at that time I was a bit too chunky. I couldn't really do that. So I was just taking photos and they were just, oh, they're shocking. But yeah, so I put on weight and I carried on putting on weight. I know we went to Thorpe Park after the holiday and there's this photo of me in this stripy dress and the rolls, my side angle of my belly was just, ugh. Like, I saw it and I was just like, what the fuck? I've ruined that photo. And it's just, at that point, that's the realisation of, okay, now I'm like taking the piss. Like, I need to do something about how I look. Like, it gets to a point, you get that obsessive about it. You think, like, does your other half still like you? Does he still think you're attractive? So, that's not a very nice mind frame to be in. So at that time, what was I doing? So that was 2018. We then moved to where we are now in the September. And there's a picture of me in a green snake dress, and that was size 16. And I just look so like filled out. Now, I don't think there's any problem with that. It just depends on who you are as a person. But having years of being like on the smaller scale, looking at myself now, like I was quite chunky. Like I wasn't really happy. Like the contentment had disappeared and I wasn't comfortable as much anymore. Everything I put on that was like semi-flattering for my chest, now just like my boobs just popped out of them. So it was just, yeah. So it got to last year. When was it? I don't know. In March. Got it written down. In March 2019, because at the time I was working somewhere where we did weekly weigh-ins and I worked in an office, so I was able to be more careful with what I was wearing, with what I was eating. I was drinking a lot of like tea and coffee, but my diet wasn't as bad. I wasn't drinking as much fizzy at the time, and my weekly weigh-ins were either like I maintained that weight or I lost a pound or two. So that was quite good, that was encouraging. I was also learning to drive, so that was a nice bit of stress added onto that. But yeah, so I did a photo of myself in a black dress that I really like, that you've probably seen a couple of times, marking a ½ stone loss. So I was quite pleased with myself. Still very like filled out. I mean, I had curves, so I was just like, yeah, like this is great. Just get rid of the belly, then they'll be fine. But obviously it don't work like that. But I was never always that curvy, so it was nice to have some sort of shape. So yeah, I was quite happy at that point. I'd lost ½ stone. I think I was about 12 stone at that point anyway, which is on the higher scale of the weight, sort of what's healthy and what's not for my height. So yeah, and then there was the engagement party. I had to get a double XL dress because of my boobs. I was still, like, it was slowly climbing or slowly descending. Is that the word? Or descending? I don't know. It was going down. So I was quite happy and I was trying to keep it up. So at this point, it is, yeah, July 2019. I got some nice photos of where, like, my style was kind of changing in correspondence to my weight loss. So, and that was when I was noticing it a bit more, which is good. Like, you like being, like, it's just a sense of encouragement when you see an actual difference. And I can see why people get so disheartened when they don't actually see a difference after working hard for, I don't know, weeks and weeks, eating well and that. So it was good. I felt good. And then I changed my style a bit. I got my hair cut, I got a full fringe and I got my red hair. And being someone that used to always dye her hair, I think once a month probably, cutting my hair and dyeing it red marked, it was some sort of like symbolic thing where I was starting to feel like myself now. Like I was feeling better with myself. And I mean, it took a while, like, I suppose it's still a struggle, but it's nice when you can feel like yourself, because for so long you kind of get trapped in the same sort of routine, doing the same shit, not being like you, but I felt like me at that time, so it was all good. And we were also going to Rome, a family holiday that we hadn't had in years. So I was like, okay, I've got this new hair look, like I can kind of be on holiday and, you know, have a laugh, like not worry too much about how I looked. We were doing a lot of walking in Rome. I think we did like, we definitely hit minimum 20,000 steps a day. We were there for a week. It was ridiculous. It almost felt like a detox because you couldn't really get your usual like food and drink. It was like just a lot of water really. Like we found some nice little cafes that just did little slices of pizza, and that was like amazing just to have that on its own. Like that kept you going. Whereas if I was back home and I weren't walking that much and we walked by McDonald's, I'd be like, yeah, McDonald's, you know, let's go have some. Like it was so easy then. But being in Rome, I was just like, yeah, okay, like just have a slice of pizza, it's yummy. In Rome, I was still like on the chunkier side, obviously being 12 stone. And there's some photos of me that are not as flattering, I suppose. I don't know, give Lee that credit. He's very good at taking unflattering photos of me. When we come back from Rome, there was another wedding that we went to, but then a lot of shit happened. We had a family member pass away, and me and Lee both lost our jobs at the time. I then got a new job in a place that I'd never worked before, had no experience, so that was quite stressful. Still learning to drive. I had my test in the January this year. So a lot was going on, a lot of stress was in the air, and I was maintaining my chunkier side of life at that point until January. And I don't know why, but I'm very nervous with driving. It was the worst thing I could have done, like, in my mind, but it's a necessity, being 2 hours away from home. I say from home, from my parents. So I just needed to get over it and just do it. But I was very stressed. Thankfully I passed. That played a big part in my initial weight loss. But I'll be sharing some photos now of obviously the last couple of months. At like present, in total, I have lost an extra an extra half a stone. So at the minute I'm 11.5 stone, which still isn't like that ideal. Being locked down, not being able to go out as you normally would, like we're still getting takeaways and things now and again. It's just how we reward ourselves. We never go out, so it's like have a takeaway or cook a nice meal, and yeah, like that's us sorted. So my diet slipped quite a lot. If I'm not eating like as much as I should, I'm eating too much. So it's a bit up in the air, but I have maintained my weight. So I am still 11.5 stone. I was at the start of the year roughly. And I did a little kind of comparison to that photo that I took from when I lost half a stone. And the belt, in the first picture, the belt like did up, like it fit me, but in my like recent photo for it, the belt is too big for me, which it doesn't really show in the picture. I've got like my hand through it, so it does I don't know, just things like that. When you reach little milestones, it does make you feel better. There's skirts that I have, mini skirts that fit me now that never used to, so I can happily say I am no longer a 16, I am barely a 14, so I'm a comfortable 12. There's some size 10s I can fit into, but yeah, that's kind of it really. Like I'm getting there. Like I was meant to be getting married at the end of the month. When I last tried my wedding dress on, it was too big. I bought it, when did I buy it? Last summer, I think. Yeah, I bought it last summer, and that's a size 14, and it's too big for me now, so mum's gonna have to take it in. But yeah, it's just things like that. Obviously that's a bit shit, but I'm losing weight. Things are either fitting me or they're loose on me. Like my last video, the corduroy skirt that Lee chose for me is huge, but there was a point where that just fit me. So it's nice to see changes. Obviously it's not good to get obsessive, and that is the one thing, the one difference this time. I'm not obsessive about it, and I'm really happy with how I look. I look in the mirror, I no longer think, like, I don't gravitate to certain areas anymore. I'm just like, yeah, like this outfit's cool, like, you know, that's just how it is. So it's nice to be at that stage, and if anyone's going through the same sort of thing and they're at that horrible stage where you're obsessive and you just look at yourself negatively, like, I really hope that you kind of see the bigger picture and realise that it's how you feel inside more than how you look outside. So obviously don't be unhealthy, but just be mindful. That's kind of my advice, my whole advice with this whole thing. Be mindful of how you treat yourself. Like, you've got to look after yourself, and that obviously involves exercising. If you don't like exercising like me, going on walks, go biking. Obviously it's a bit difficult at this time. Home exercises, that helps. Or just do like purely diet based, which is basically what mine has been. And all I've done is just half my portion sizes, near enough. Considering how big my portion sizes were, obviously my portion sizes now are more normal. But it's just, I don't know, not overly, or not overdoing it, because it's so easy to. You could see it's massive lasagna and be like, oh, I want loads. But I'm just like, no, like, I'll have a set amount, eat that, and if I really do feel more will do me good, then I'll get more. But 99% of the time, that small portion that I have, I feel fulfilled. So, you know, it's just how it is. But yeah. But yeah, as you can see, I made loads of notes. I think I covered everything. Yeah, that's basically it, I think. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I didn't ramble on too much. I hope my accent didn't annoy you too much. But yeah, that's just how it is. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please give a like and subscribe and comment if you, I don't know, have any opinions, if you have any tips, because obviously this is an ongoing journey. I'm still trying to lose weight, so if anyone has anything that's actually worth knowing, then feel free to let me know. And yeah, this video will be up tomorrow, so I'm gonna have fun editing it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye. La, da, 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 da. What the fuck am I chatting about? I think, yeah, I was 19 then, so it was like the normal sort of thing to do then. Fuck, this tea. Yeah.